All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love, a love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service.
Arise, O souls, all arise.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome on this beautiful, cold, brisk day. Thank you for coming out with the sun. I'm Scott Hensey, and I'm a member of All Souls. Whether you are here in the room or watching online, we are glad you're here. Your presence enriches all of us and our time together. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Our tradition is a large tent with room for many beliefs and approaches to the questions that matter. It is our values of inclusion, compassion, and justice that hold us together. We seek to build the beloved community, making room for everyone, and creating a world where everyone's needs are met. You may be new here this morning. Welcome. We know that your first time attending a church. You may want to keep a low profile and just check things out quietly. That's great. We're glad you're here. But if you're a visitor and you're excited to be here, raise your hand. Let us know you're here, and we invite you to raise your hand at this time. Look at this. Thank you for enriching us with your presence today. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you're welcome here. You're invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today.
thank you for being here this morning. It's cold. As somebody who lived in Minnesota for 12 years, I will still say, it's cold. My wonderful spouse had to go out early and make sure there was air in my tires, and I appreciate him for that. So thank you for venturing out when no one wants to venture out. And thank those of you who are at home watching from the warmth, having not ventured out, for still joining us on what is otherwise a sunny, beautiful day. Thank you for joining us, because truly all of us are enriched because you are here. These opening words are by Peggy Clark. In the dark of the season, in the dark of time, in the dark of the city, we are a people of fire. In the cold of the season, in the cold of the time, in the cold of the city, we are a people of fire. In the mystery of the season, in the uncertainty of the times, in the fragility of the city, we are a people of fire. Abandoning a life of dark and cold and uncertainty, we gather on Sundays to remember together how to be a people of fire.
We light our chalice this morning with these words. As a people of fire, we kindle our chalice, a symbol of hope. Please stand as you're able and join in the affirmation of our covenant. And if you can, remain standing as we join together in song this morning. Together we affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its all. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another.
anyone who would like to come forward and sit on the floor or in the chairs right in the front row so that I can tell you about one of my favorite animals ever, please come forward and do so. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. So, one of my favoriteest animals ever is penguins. Have any of you seen penguins at the zoo? Yeah. Have any of you seen the penguins at the zoo? Oh, yeah. What do you like about them? Go ahead.
They're black and white.
They're black and white, yep.
Yesterday I got to see a penguin march at the zoo.
You went to the penguin march? Next Saturday, I'm going to be a docent at the penguin march. Okay. What else do you like about penguins? When they fluff up their feathers. Yeah. Yep.
When they slide down those,
Oh, when they slide down the slope on their bellies?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, let's be honest. Why do we love penguins? They're so cute. So, I'm not going to tell you all of the facts about penguins that I know because we will be here for hours. But I want to talk to you about emperor penguins. And I will admit, the Kansas City Zoo and Aquarium does not have any emperor penguins. The largest ones we have are king. But emperor penguins are special because they live on Antarctica, like actually on Antarctica. And when Antarctica plunges into the winter darkness, every other creature anywhere near Antarctica says, oh no, and heads north because it doesn't want anything to do with winter in Antarctica. But neither of them are as cold as Antarctica. Okay. So when the rest of the world is running away from the cold, the emperor penguins walk directly into it because they leave the seashore, or the ice at the seashore, and walk inland, trekking across everything that is frozen to be in one of the most desolate places on Earth, where it's really cold. Now, why do they do this? Because they've learned something about hope that a lot of us don't understand. And sometimes that's that the hardest choice leads to the greatest reward. So what happens when they're in the very middle of Antarctica, far from the sea, and it's very cold, is that the female penguins lay eggs. And they have to be very careful that they lay their eggs onto their little feet. And then they have to get real close to the male penguin and scooch that egg onto the male penguin's feet, where it sits in this little pouch of skin to stay warm. And then the temperatures drop to, I kid you not, -50 degrees. And the winds scream across the ice at 120 miles an hour. And you know, any sensible creature would wait to do anything until spring. But the emperor penguins, they don't wait. They choose to trust that this impossible season holds exactly what they need. So after the mother passes her egg to the father, she walks away. She leaves. She goes across the ice for miles and miles and miles, leaving the male penguin with the egg. And for 2 months, that male penguin doesn't eat because there's no food anywhere near where he is, because the sea is nowhere near where he is. And he doesn't leave, and he will stand in the howling darkness, protecting the life inside that egg with nothing but his own body heat and his unwavering commitment. But then, there's always a but then, there's this special magic of what these penguins do. Because there are thousands of male penguins, each with their own egg, and they all huddle together, forming a massive shifting circle of warmth. Yep.
I've heard in a movie that
That's exactly what I was going to say. So what we just heard is that the edges are really cold. And so the penguins that are really cold on the edges will move inwards while the penguins on the inside move outward, so that that warmth is always shifting and nobody's out in the cold for too long. No penguin stays comfortable forever, and no penguin suffers alone. So then they take turns bearing the hardship of being on the outside, because they understand that survival requires individual courage and the care of everybody. And so when the winds blow the hardest, that huddle of penguins moves as one, like a walking fortress of hope, made from ordinary birds choosing this extraordinary cooperation. And inside of the huddle, the temperatures can rise from the -50 outside to a very comfortable 75 degrees in the very center. So the penguins have created their own summer in the middle of winter. And by the time that spring arrives and the mothers return from the sea, the eggs have hatched. And the fathers, having lost nearly half of their body weight, finally leave to go to the sea so that they can eat. And the chicks grow strong on the ice, perfectly timed for the returning abundance of Antarctic summer. So the emperor penguins remind us that hope isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about choosing to trust that even the harshest circumstances can be navigated when we stand together. They prove that hope works not through magic, but through commitment, cooperation, and the stubborn decision to protect what matters most, no matter how impossible the odds may seem. So that is how emperor penguins not only survive through the winter, but hatch their eggs. And so, with that spirit of hope and coming together, it is time for you to follow Melanie down to your classes today. Let us sing them out.
the secretary of the AIDS Service Foundation of Greater Kansas City. In 1992, this organization was founded during the middle of the AIDS epidemic. And it serviced 4 different organizations, and it helped people understand that their dollars could go further. And that organization still lives today, and we do AIDS Walk in the spring, and there is a big celebration for World AIDS Day, and that just happened last week. This morning we have Brandon Woodard, who is not only the executive producer and development director for AIDS Service Foundation, but he's a Kansas senator. And we're very happy that he's here this morning to tell us a little bit more about the AIDS Service Foundation. Help me welcome Brandon.
Hello, good morning. It's so good to be back. And now I want to go check out some emperor penguins. As Anthony said, well, you actually upgraded me. I'm a representative, not a senator, but not yet anyway. But for more than 33 years, the AIDS Service Foundation has worked to raise funds, raise hope, and raise awareness for the nearly 6,000 people living with HIV in the Kansas City metro region. We do that through raising funds and supporting our 3 primary recipients, Casey Care Health Center, Save Inc., and Hope Care Center, as well as 10 other nonprofits last year that work in and around prevention, housing, education, and treatment. And our World AIDS Day event last week was really exciting. It was called Shine Together, and we did that because with all of the uncertainty going on at the federal level, just to name a few things that have happened with the HIV space, this administration has canceled 145 NIH grants. They've halted international and USAID programs, eliminated CDC's HIV prevention office and housing programs, and directed agencies to stop observing World AIDS Day. We're not going to let them stop our hope, our awareness, and the work that we're doing. So we had an event last week called Shine Together, which was a fun ability for us to bring the community together. And so your work stays here. Any dollars raised stay right here in Kansas City and go to supporting the nearly 6,000 people living with HIV. We're not going to stop, even with whatever administration is there, working to create a future where the new HIV transmissions are rare. So thank you for having us. Thanks for everything that you do, and thanks for being so rooted here in your community as well.
The offering will now be graciously given and gratefully received. Please join me in the dedication of our offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society.
Karen G. Johnson, the writer of this poem, is a former clinical social worker, but now she's a UU minister, blogger, and poet. Inexplicable how we rise each morning instead of burying our heads under bed covers, sewing them shut. Why we keep on welcoming babies with bone-deep joy to this sordid world. How we fill burlap sacks with grit and gratitude, our hands shredded as we drag one over the other. How we refuse the daily pull towards greedy dark, keeping at least one toe, some of us whole torso, in the light. Inexplicable. It's what makes a poem worth writing, worth reading, worth flooding the world with redundant, flawed attempts at explanation. It's just the way it is. There is no other way. Stumbling every time, practice or no, just part of the bargain. The unavoidable, intractable, inexplicable bargain.
From Too Soon to Tell, The Case for Hope Continued by Rebecca Solnit. Rebecca Solnit wrote the essay Acts of Hope in 2003, which became her book, Hope in the Dark. This is from her revisit of the topic 1 decade later. If you take the long view, you'll see how startlingly, how unexpectedly but regularly things change. Not by magic, but by the incremental effect of countless acts of courage, love, and commitment, the small drops of water that wear away stones and carve new landscapes, and sometimes by torrents of popular will that change the world suddenly. To say that is not to say that it will all come out fine in the end, regardless. I'm just telling you that everything is in motion, and sometimes we are ourselves the movement. I still value hope, but I see it as only part of what's required, a starting point. Think of it as the match, but not the tinder or the blaze. To matter, to change the world, you also need devotion and will, and you need to act. Hope is only where it begins, though I've also seen people toil on without regard to hope, to what they believe is possible. They live on principle, and they gamble, and they sometimes even win, or sometimes the goal they were aiming for is reached long after their deaths. Still, it's action that becomes the new normal, and we hope for or carp about something else. The future is bigger than our imaginations. It's unimaginable, and then it comes anyway. To meet it, we need to keep going, to walk past what we can imagine. We need to be unstoppable. And here's what it takes. You don't stop walking to congratulate yourself. You don't stop walking to wallow in despair. You don't stop walking because your own life got too comfortable or too rough. You don't stop because you won. You don't stop because you lost. There's more to win, more to lose, and others need you. You don't stop walking because there is no way forward. Of course there is no way. You walk the path into being. You make the way. And if you do it well, others can follow the route. You look backward to grasp the long history you're moving forward from, the paths others have made, the road you came in on. You look forward to possibility. That's what we mean by hope. And you look past it into the impossible, and that doesn't stop you either. But mostly you just walk. Right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. That's what makes you unstoppable.
Thank you, choir. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. Or, in the beginning, there was nothing, not light or matter or even time. In the beginning, there was uncertainty. How could it have been anything but uncertainty? Something might happen. Anything might happen. And there were no answers to the when or the why or the how. And whatever that moment was when the universe began, everything was possible. Literally everything. And that moment was one of infinite hope. Hope exists in uncertainty. See, we can never hope that the teacup the cat pushed off the counter will not fall to the hard floor and break. For the laws of physics make the teacup's demise certain. But if I'm standing right next to the cat and watch him reach out his paw, there is hope for that teacup. I could stop him in time. I could catch the teacup, as improbable as that might be. But there is uncertainty in whether the cat will succeed in breaking the teacup. And where there is uncertainty, there is hope. Does that make sense? We cannot hope for a different outcome than the one that is without question already sure to happen. So it's when it's not certain, when the outcome isn't assured that it is possible for us to hope. We can imagine that things could be different because it's possible. We are right now in a time of year that's often characterized by quiet and stillness and darkness. The nights have become very long as we complain about awakening when it is still dark, and then decry how soon the sun sets. That darkness, the idea of darkness, it's usually characterized by fear, by not being able to see what is there or to anticipate what may emerge. There's also the realm of possibility, because we can't see what's there or what may emerge. And so within that darkness, anything can happen. And so we may imagine any possible outcomes, including those that feel good and right. When nothing is moving, all is still, and we are surrounded by darkness, we may fill ourselves with all of the possibilities. We may venture into a space that is hope. Wonder about what may be, how you may address your needs, even for a moment. The wondering is the sacred work of this season, opening ourselves to the possibilities that surround us, but that remain unseen in the darkness, reaching into the uncertain to find what just might come if we bring it into being. Now, I tell you this because the darkness is too easy to fear, to look into the unknown and to believe that in it are monsters and terrible possibilities. And too often in the last year, I have been certain in the darkness, certain that democracy is crumbling in a way that cannot be stopped or fixed, certain that our economy will crumble, certain that all of our work toward inclusion of the marginalized is being undone. Every day, another ridiculous thing coming out of the current national administration simply meant to assert the power and dominance of wealthy, straight, able-bodied white men. Now, did you hear this week that the State Department has been ordered to stop using the font Calibri instead of Times New Roman? Apparently, the switch away from Times New Roman a few years ago was intended to make communications more readable for people with certain visual disabilities. And I went to seminary with one of those people. Sans serif fonts are clearer to read. This administration is so against DEI that they explicitly undid this to make communications explicitly less accessible. It's so ridiculous, so over the top, and that is meant to make me even more certain that I can't stop the destruction of a government that cares for its people. That the worldview of utter individualism with no care for others will inevitably consume everything I've cared about. It wants me to despair. It wants me to find it inexplicable that we rise each morning instead of burying our heads under bed covers, sewing them shut. And that's what has happened too often. The messaging has convinced me that despite anything we do, it is not possible to stop the drive into authoritarianism. Despair is hopelessness, and it comes out of a sense of certainty. And with that hopeless certainty that nothing can change, nothing will change. Because I won't do anything to change it. But I have to change it. See, now, hope doesn't sit there in a bottle creating good feelings on the shelf. Just as Mr. Rogers taught us that love is an action verb, hope is an action verb too. Hope is an action verb. You have probably heard Unitarian minister Theodore Parker's 1853 quote, "I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. But from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice." We Unitarian Universalists are so proud that it was one of our ancestors who wrote this, which Martin Luther King Jr. then condensed into "the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice." And President Barack Obama had it woven into the rug in the Oval Office. But it falls short. It is hope without action. It puts morality out there, away from people, away from our own actions, and made completely separate, as though the future were preordained to happen no matter what actions anyone takes. But yet, at the same time, Parker was a strong abolitionist who hid people in his home from those pursuing them under the Fugitive Slave Act. I've told you before that he carried a pistol and kept it on his desk as he wrote. So now, how is it that someone who was taking such direct action also put the future on this pedestal, far away from what we do in the moment? And I can only imagine that he was fighting the despair in his own heart. Because at that point in time, 1853, the pro-slavery Democrats had essentially taken over the government, establishing more and more severe laws designed to continue and support the institution of slavery in this nation. Even as Theodore Parker took action to protect people, risking his life and his freedom, he felt the despair that it wasn't enough and that slavery would never end. And I imagine he must have felt so hopeless. All he could do to keep going amidst the certainty that his efforts were futile was to create this sense of hope that was outside of humanity, a moral arc of the universe, some natural state of creation that preordained an eventual state of justice. And I do not blame him for his own struggle. He is saying that while he sees no direct hope in the moment, that everything is dire and appears hopeless, he had to believe that someday, somewhere, there would be justice, even if he can't possibly see it. And he didn't. Theodore Parker did not live to see the end of the Civil War. He never witnessed the end of slavery as he knew it in the United States. Today, many Unitarian Universalists hold up his words while also pointing out that it is our job to bend the moral arc of the universe, just as he was actually doing at the time that he wrote them. Oh, how I wish that he'd lived to revisit that writing and to reframe it, seeing what had happened. But in the midst of the worst moments in American history to that date, he could not see that his actions were making a difference. And this is what I want to remind you. It feels hopeless right now. I've shared with you time and time again the litany of ways in which justice is being torn down along with democracy, that human rights have ceased to matter in the United States, at least in the eyes of our highest leaders. We expect the new blow, the new slight every day, We watch the careful manipulation of fear to drive good people into hatred, bigotry, and violence. We feel the careful manipulation of fear to silence those of us who would speak out or take action. So maybe we're feeling trapped in the same sense of hopelessness that Theodore Parker felt. He could not see anything that he did or said might actually make a difference. So he set his gaze far, far off into a future he could imagine, but not conceive of finding fruition. This is why Rebecca Solnit writes in her book, Hope in the Dark, about deeply considering history and the real stories of everyday people working together for years with no obvious result, but that something shifted suddenly that turned it into the kind of uprising that toppled regimes. Writing in 2015, she uplifts the Arab Spring and how no one could have predicted even months prior that a groundswell of action would completely change the political dynamics of the Middle East. She reminds us that suffragists began their work more than 8 decades before the 19th Amendment was passed. And this is why we must relish the darkness and uncertainty. We do not know what is going to happen. No matter how definitively the journalists and pundits report and speak, know that the outcome is not set in stone. Everything is complex and constantly moving in all of the directions all at once. Civilization is humanity's attempt to do something about the power of chaos and its unpredictability. But that unpredictability remains at the base of all that we are and all that we know. And history has proven to us time and again that the outcome remains uncertain. Solnit loves this quote from Zhou Enlai, who was the premier of the People's Republic of China under Chairman Mao. It was in the early 1970s when someone asked him his opinion of the French Revolution. He responded, "Too soon to tell." Does it matter whether he referred to revolutions in France from a few years prior or the French Revolution of 1789? Not really. Whichever. It had been either a few years or a couple of hundred, and he responds that it is too soon to tell. Is democracy in the U.S. permanently destroyed? Did the shifts in the economy during the Reagan administration cause permanent change? Have we missed the window to do anything about climate change? Too soon to tell. The outcome is uncertain, and the outcome will always be uncertain, and that means we always have room for hope. If we accept the narrative that there is nothing we can do to stop it, we will fall into despair, and the darkness will be nothing but fear. But we can recognize that uncertainty has room for possibility. And with that possibility comes hope. Hope, the action verb, the thing that we will act upon to create justice, that we will act upon to widen the circle of love and care, that we will act upon in whatever small way we can, day after day, because we don't know what it is that will bring about change. The well-timed messages on politicians' voicemails, the questions that challenge what is happening, the words of one person that barely ripple for decades until they inspire new leaders. the community building that brings people together into the loudest unified voice, the boycott of that one company. We must know, looking at a long history of change for cause and by accident, that it matters. I've never particularly liked the chaos analogy of a butterfly beating its wings thousands of miles away, causing a great storm. But that kind of subtle impact is what we have. Somehow, it will matter. Change is inevitable, and we can cause it with our action. If hope is the answer to despair, action is the lifeblood of hope. Let it breed ever more hope in ever more people, and may we know that our actions do bend the moral arc of the universe toward justice. So do not fear the darkness. Breathe it in and know that despite the quiet and stillness, within it there are possibilities beyond possibilities. Know that everything is uncertain. Find in it the thing that will keep us getting out of bed every morning. It's not inexplicable. It's hope. May it be so. Please rise in body or spirit and let us sing together, "Come Sing a Song with Me." We release this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. 2 things to let you know about. First, all visitors who want to learn more about Unitarian Universalism and to ask all of their questions about All Souls are invited to UU Basics in the library at noon. Follow the signs. Also, Immediately after the service, we have church members that have brought information and resources to help you contact your local and national representatives so that you can live out your hope through action today. Find the hope waiting for you in the uncertainty that is all around us. Live it out. Take action. And through our hope, may we create justice together.